No, I'm just opening it. Good evening, friends. I extend a very warm welcome to all. The webinar today will focus on various recovery options that the Indian diamond industry has to encounter the challenges posed by the current crisis. Lenin had aptly said, there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. In the past weeks, we have experienced historical changes and challenges. Never in the past has the twin blow of fear of death and meltdown of wealth happened together with this severity. The current situation is rather unprecedented as a result of severe demand and supply shock that we are experiencing in our business. On one hand, largely all points of sale are shut, and on the other, manufacturing in India and elsewhere is also shut. In the middle of this uncertainty and chaos, we are trying to find some answers. What should we, the industry, be doing now? How do we recover from this crisis? When can we expect some recovery? To answer these questions and many more, I am joined by a superb team today. There is no better analytical mind in the diamond industry than our dear friend Chaim Ivan Zohar, an ex-banker, a profound journalist, and an analyst with experience of over 45 years. Chaim has been a great friend of India. Who can forget this guidance during the 2008-9 crisis? It helped India strategize and overcome the crisis. He is truly outstanding. I thank Chaim for joining us from Tel Aviv. We are all looking forward to words of wisdom. On the panel, we have Dinesh Bhai Lakhani, Director of Kiran Gems. Kiran Gems is world's largest diamond and jewellery manufacturer. Our second panelist, Hitesh Bhai Patel, Managing Director of Dharmanandan Diamonds, is also a very large manufacturer. He joins us from Surat and gets Surat's perspective on the panel. Russell Bhai Mehta, Managing Director of Rosy Blue, needs no introduction. Rosy Blue is not only the pioneer of this business, but has been leader of our industry for over 6 decades. And we are also very happy to have Vipul Bhai Shah, who is past chairman of GJEPC and CEO and MD Asian Star Company. He is incumbent vice chairman of the council. I will briefly explain the format for today. Firstly, I will invite Chaim to share his views over next 20 to 30 minutes. Subsequently, I would request each of the panelists to briefly express their views. Then I would ask them a few questions before taking questions from all of you viewers. All those who wish to ask questions may do so on the chat. We will try to cover as many as possible, and we expect the session to last for around 75 minutes. Thank you all. And now, without wasting much time, I would invite Chaim to give his special address. Over to you, Chaim.
Thanks, Sanjay, and thank you and the incoming chairman, Colin, for inviting me. I'm always amazed that you guys are never afraid to give me a microphone because you never know what comes out of it. And today it's not a happy day, but I hope that we'll have a fruitful session. I look at the number of participants. I see that by now we have some 1,500 and it's going up. I realize that our public may be very varied. There may be people that are not familiar with some of the concepts that we have, that are familiar to us. So I would like to start my presentation by just putting a little bit of perspective where we are and where we're going, and especially show you very quickly what we call the diamond pipeline. The diamond pipeline is something that my company has done since, God knows, since 1985 8 or something like that, and Panay and I are doing it together. And the reason I want you to see this is that the value chain or pipeline, another word for this is really value chain, pipeline, or supply chain. And what we're having today, or what we are facing now, is an interruption in the supply chain. Now, what is our supply chain? We put a slide up here of 2018. 2019 is a problematic year. It's not an, all of us know it was a lousy year, let's face it. But I want to get a few figures to alert you to. You have on the left side, only look at the left side, please. We have the left side, we see the cost of raw production. We see the raw production value, and that is the second. And then we see the mine sales to industry, which is $15 billion. It's a very small business, basically. $15 billion is a lot of money, of course, but a lot of companies or even retail stores that do more. But the $15 billion goes through the pipeline and ends up being around $20 billion in polished sales. I am ignoring what you see on the right side of the pipeline, a little bit synthetics or recycling. I'm talking about the production. So keep in mind when we go further that from a $15 billion, we turn it into 20 billion of polished. Now think about that. The $5 billion is the total added value for which all the cutters in India, all the cutters in the world are being paid, all the marketing is being paid of the midstream, what we call the traders and the manufacturers, all the offices, all the boosters in the world. All of this comes from $5 billion. And what I really want to stress here today to the audience, especially in India, is that don't look so much at the total that you hear or other things. At the end of the day, our midstream sector has $5 billion to divide among ourselves and hopefully making profit, something that we don't, and we get to that. And then the $20 billion of the value of production goes down the value chain and ends up into jewelry of 78 or 80 billion. But for us as diamond people, diamond cutters, the only thing that's important is what is the value of diamond content in the retail sales. So when you hear 70 billion and the beer says 80 billion and others say that jewelry sales, forget it. For us, what's important, unless of course you're in the jewelry business, but for us, what is important is that this is that is our $20 billion that we did. Now, Panay, next slide, please. The $5 billion, or the $5 billion is very problematic. I tell you why. And it's not nice what I'm going to say, but it's the truth. If we look at the slide here, it goes from 1990, really 30 years, we see that raw sales goes up. Producers make money. The diamond content in retail remains the same. The raw sales by the producers go up, but the diamond content stays the same in a band between $4 and $6 billion. That is the whole thing here. The money that's being made from higher turnovers and from greater raw production, etc. And at the end of the day, for us, it remains the same 5 billion to divide. Next slide, please. I will be talking a lot, thank you, Panay. I will be talking a lot about this diamond value chain because that is what it's all about. We have now a corona supply chain shock, and therefore we have to look at the value chain. And it's important for you to realize that the cut and polish manufacturers, and that's you guys, in the world there's only one main polishing center today, and that's India. And I'm saying that coming from another center, it doesn't matter. And you guys do well over 90% of all the cutting. I'm not looking so much at the value, I'm looking at the added value, that is the work that is being done. Your workers produce almost all of the midstream profits in the diamond industry. But we are also in the middle of the diamond value chain. We have on the left side, we have the producers that sell at 15 billion, that goes to rough sales, producer sites. Then we have the secondary dealers, the distributors, and then at the end it gets to the factory. Of course, there are some people who are direct site holders, so they get it direct from the beginning. From there, it goes to polish dealers, to jewelry manufacturers and jewelry distributors, and then to the retailer. That means you guys don't really have a day-to-day contact with the retailers. There are still parties in between. Of course, there are always companies which have a different business model, but that is by and large the situation. However, as cutters and polishers, you almost have a kind of monopoly, I would almost say, on the supply of polished into the market. What De Beers does and the producers do on their level, India does on the polished level. Why do I say that? You have today more leverage. You have today more power also over prices than any other factor in the business. You have to be unified. You need good strategies. You need to stop really killing each other by mindless overproduction and competition. You need to be responsible and defend polished prices. That is something that I will stress over and over again in the presentation, but we will get to that. I just want to share one more slide and then I go back on. Pranay? Pranay, are you still there? There we are. This is a quote by Philip Mellier, who was the previous CEO, the managing director of De Beers, who in an interview plainly compared diamantaires, God forbid, with car dealers in an interview. And he said, if you look at the business that I know very well, car dealers, they make 1.5%, and they are smiling and happy about it. My friends, you guys in India are not in business to get 1.5% out of the business. And then I say something very ugly. I wish you were, because you aren't. And that is really the point that I want to start with my presentation. This was just a warming up. This was just a kind of introduction. Pranay, can you take it off? And let them show that I'm really here. The truth is, and Bain & Company, which is a very reputable company, has just made its 2019 annual report on the state of the diamond industry. It shows the operating margins. It shows that mines are earning in the area of 19 to 21%. That's big. They talk about the large retailers are earning between 8 and 10% operating margins. And then they come to you guys in India and in the other cutting centers and the whole midstream. And then that includes Belgium, Israel, and all the other places, New York. Bain & Company has established that this section of the pipeline makes and has an operating margin of minus 3% to plus 2%. That really means, with my poor arithmetic, it's zero. I mean, you guys don't even make the 1.5% that Philip Mellier's car dealers were making. No, you do worse. And I think one of the reasons you do worse is the producers. That's a different story we don't get into today too much. You guys take maximum, the highest pipeline risk. And that is something that I really want to stress here. Because when you invest money in a business, you are making a calculation on what is your return on capital, what is the risk, what is your cost of money, all the factors come in there. And you want to do better. Because if you don't have a normal return, you are even with the near zero interest rates today, which is really exceptional. But if you're better off putting the money in the bank instead of working for it, why should you work day and night? It's a profit, it's a problem. I was thinking about how to call this presentation, and I was almost thinking about calling this the midstream not-for-profit association, because you guys work for the producers, mainly, and of course also for retailers. But if you don't make money, then for whom do you work? Not for your wife, your children, your grandchildren, and your next generations. Now, why do I talk about risk? We have seen the pipeline before. I just showed it to you. There are 3 places in which there is a substantial added value, and where you have workers, where you have hundreds of thousands of workers. And the one place is the mining. That is, of course, very labor intensive. The other place in the middle is you guys, the midstream. And then you have, at the end, the jewelers and the retail section, which also add value and make money. In this, of the 3 areas where great value added is created, you're getting the worst deal. Let's say it this way. That is why I believe that we should look at the current Corona crisis, not just as a question from how do we get out of the crisis and what do we then, how do we go back? I don't want you to go back, period. I mean, you had already trouble before the Corona. Because you were not really making money, you were working day and night, you had problems, hardships, etc. Why do you want to go back to that? We should use the Corona situation as a turning point and say, up to now we have had it, we are now going to come out of this healthier, resilient, better, more united, and it's very important, more united, and we'll go forward, and then we have a brilliant future. And I believe in the future. Don't think that this is a speech of doom and gloom. I believe in the future, and I believe in India. So in that respect, it's in your hands. I mentioned earlier about risk. In we have to distinguish between manufacturers and traders. A trader, if he's a good trader, he buys at 10, he sells at 11. And if he is not able to sell at 11, then he will not buy at 10. I mean, his risk is lower. But if we look at this pipeline from 15 billion to 20 billion, the time that diamonds move through that is an average of 22 to 26 months. A large part of that pipeline is in India. And when you start manufacturing, and you have some 2 million dependents, you have some 7,000 exporters as far as I remember, and some 800,000 workers, and you are really taking a huge risk because you don't know what is going to be the polish demand. You don't know what is going to be the market value of polish by the time your polish gets to the market. That's okay. You guys know what you're doing. But for taking that risk, you need a much higher margin. And that is what I hope that we can conclude at the end of the day. How can we do this? So starting out this discussion by saying that Corona crisis should become a turning point. We must fundamentally review the way we operate and the way we leverage the enormous strengths and resiliency of the Indian diamond sector vis-a-vis the rough suppliers, but also vis-a-vis the downstream market. Because the downstream market, the jewelry market is in your hands. You sell the diamonds to them, nobody else really. Or the others, we sell at the margins. And even if an Israeli or a Belgian guy or someone in Hong Kong sells the diamond, the polished, he bought it from you guys. So you have strengths, you have leverage that is not being used. Because if you use the leverage, you will be the most profitable part in the pipeline. The bears, and I've written that in a recent article in which I quoted Stuart Brown, the previous, or one of the previous joint managing directors of the bears. Without cutters, they have nothing to do with they cannot do things with the rough. Yeah, I've thought once, I was giving them a good advice. I said, you can sell the rough for the bottom of aquariums, and sell them in the aquariums together with some goldfish. If you don't have the cutters, then that's the only thing that you're left to do with it, or dump it in the sea. But it's not worth their while to get it out of the ground if it can't get cut and polished. And today, that's you. I know you're worried about China and other things. No, you have so many skills. You have so many entrepreneurs who are very much located all around the world. You have fantastic families. And at the end of the day, with all the corporations, it's still a family business. I would not worry about that. I would not worry about the other Asian countries. Nobody at this point can challenge the position of the Indians. So what I just said is that if the new post-corona normal will become the same as the pre-corona normal, then we haven't done anything, okay? And you better stay in your lockdown situation and enjoy your time at home. Now, let's look more in details now. I want to mention three different parameters of the current crisis. The first parameter is that we have a supply chain challenge. We have a stock and standstill at virtually all levels. Half of the world is in lockdown. But no airplanes, no traffic, no buyers, everything stands still. Have you all heard the news about a Canadian company that owns Ekati mine and also has a big interest in the Diavik mine? They're insolvent. They asked for Chapter 11. I want to think about it for a second and illustrate that. Their problem is not that they don't have a good business. Their underlying business is actually healthy. They are good people, they know what they are doing. Yes, they also have problems that the workers, because of Corona, cannot come to the mines the way it should be. But the problem is more interesting in a way. They have diamonds at the mine, they have inventory at the mine, that they can't move to India where it's being sorted. There are no airplanes, there are no people. In India, in their sorting facilities, there are no workers. So even if they could get there, there's nothing they can do with it. And then from after sorting, they couldn't sell it to the offices in Antwerp because there's no way they can sell there. If you look at all the documents submitted to the courts in their request for the insolvency, and for the Chapter 11 rescuing, you see that they're sitting on inventory and they can't move. And I want to stress that because we always talk about inventories in other places that are stuck, but I think it's interesting to see that it also can happen to the miners. And in the land that the beers cannot sell because people cannot come to Botswana to pick up the sites. In that respect, I hope the lockdown continues a little bit. It's not bad for the business at the end of the day, but I won't get into that. In India, of course, you have also the situation that so many of you are at home, and I see that, and looking at the participants already, far over 2,000 people are on the line. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your participation and welcome. In India, a few 100,000 workers have left Surat, and God knows how many will come back. But the question is not how many will come back. The question is how many should come back. And that's one of the issues, the more difficult issues that the panel will have to discuss, and I will get some parameters on that. So this first parameter, the supply chain interruption, I think this will straighten out in a relatively short period. But then there is the second parameter, and that is what is going to be post-corona diamond jewelry demand. I expect that as soon as stores open up, especially in America, you will see a very short and a little bit of rush to settle the pent-up demand from postponed weddings, if the lady hasn't changed her mind in the meantime, and for all kinds of other happy occasions. You will see an initial flare-up of activity. But this flare-up of activity will not lead or translate into a renewed replenishment from jewelry retailers and from the cutting and trading centers. Certainly not immediately. The retailer has its own problems. He wants to sell his inventory. He hasn't worked for a couple of months. He has overhead. He may or may not have paid his personnel. He may or may not have laid off personnel. I don't know. Everyone is different. But his first priority is not, getting on the phone, getting diamonds. Forget that. That's not what's going to be. I'm saying this, assessing this, because this whole idea about a 1 month rough moratorium, etc., my views are well known. I think you need at least 3 months because you don't get any feedback after 1 month. So what does 1 month give you? Any wiser? You know anything more than you knew when you opened it up? And be realistic. In the world, tens of millions of people are unemployed. We have seen a shrinkage of assets. We know that there is a tremendous reduction of net disposable income that consumers will spend on jewelry items. So I know, I read newspapers. They say, there was some demand in China for expensive jewelry. That's every glimmer of optimistic news is disseminated widely, but that's not the bread and butter goods of the Indian market and not so relevant. But like I said before, there's no reason for doom and gloom for one simple reason. We have come out every single economic crisis stronger, more vibrant, more resilient. There's no comparing to 2008 and 2010. That was an industry stoppage, but it also lasted 27 months before it returned to a new normal. But even that new normal was at 10 to 15% below what it had been in August 2008, what the time of the peak. This time it will take much longer to find the new normal. Now, we have to prepare ourselves for a new post-corona normal, which might stabilize in the longer term at anywhere between 20 to 30% below the pre-corona level in dollar values. Let that sink in for a second, but I'll come back to that. So global diamond jewelry retail demand is really the principal parameter the Indian industry has to be concerned about. the main thing there here is also the prices. No one will know what the price level will be post-corona. Now we don't know prices. Anyone that knows the Polish prices today, I might either shoot or send to a lunatic institution because you can't know. In an illiquid market, they have large spread. You can really not establish it, and it would not be fair and not be correct. But the Polish prices, at the end of the day, are not a function of what is the price that you sell into the jewelry sector. And that's in your hands. It's in your hands, not in someone that thinks he knows or doesn't know or whatever. The price level in the post-corona era, when business has returned more or less to stable, that is where we have to fight for. So restoring price stability, and that's the first stage, and then trying to get a way that the prices will go in an upward direction. Yes, we have learned how to live with volatility within acceptable bands in recent years. Yeah, but none of us can survive a protected downward price curve or, God forbid, free fall. Unlike the coronavirus, a flattening of the curve will not do it. India must prepare for reduced demand for polished in any scenario. But, my friends, you have been too much fixated by manufacturing for volume. You want volume. In the past, there were all kinds of reasons you wanted volume, but that's not the issue. At a lower volume, you can actually make money. Then who cares about the bigger volume? We should concentrate in post-corona only on one thing. You buy rough, you sell polished, only if you make a profit, otherwise you don't do it. I rather like to see an agreement between all the bourses and all the organizations in India that you have a pledge that nobody will sell at a loss. That's much more, that may be much more even interesting than a moratorium. Just don't sell at discounts, don't take more losses. Now I want to go exactly and look a little bit more what we can expect in the market. I think I may be running out of time a little bit. Colin, I hope that I can get another 10 minutes from you. Is that okay? Or Sean? Yeah, okay. I got it.
Yeah, try to help us with 5 minutes if possible.
Okay.
Anyway, please continue. Come.
It's
I think an important point, so please do.
Okay, 5 to 10 minutes maximum.
10 minutes.
Panay, I want you to put up a slide that we call the ripple effect. Can you do that, please? The ripple effect is a phenomenon in which, and I'm now reading the slide, in which the demand variability, I always have problems with that word, is amplified as it moves up the supply chain from end consumer to distributor, etc. You can read it yourself, but look how it looks. I tell you what it's all about, because that is really what's important. Show the rest, the next slide, Panay. Panay, are you sleeping? Thank you, my friend, thank you. What is happening, and we look a little bit at that slide, and let me explain a little bit here. What we see here is that if on the side from a retailer, if a retailer has a small downturn or a major downturn, say 15%, that's major, okay? Downturn, what happens to him? He replenishes, not at 100%, but at 85%. Normally, we would have this a stable market, he buys 100 and sells 100, he replenishes 100. But when he goes down 15%, then he replenishes only at 85 and even lower because he did not sell all his diamonds. So he will have a lower inventory. So lower sales and lower inventory. Unless, of course, he's optimistic and he thinks he's going to do better next year, but let's not talk about it now. That goes into the jewelry manufacturing and the jewelry trading areas, and that translates into minus 33%. Because there it goes the same thing. They sold less, they want less inventory, and they want to maintain a lower inventory, and therefore have a ripple effect. That is what it is. And then it gets down to the manufacturing, to the cutting and polishing. And that is down to 60%. 60%. I don't think that we remember a shock of 15% on the left side, on the retailers. And normally, the variations on the retail areas are 2% or 3% or 4% or less. And if the sentiment and the confidence is good, then it doesn't matter because because he will still replenish more because he's optimistic. And then, of course, at the end, in this scenario, and this is a theoretical scenario, the raw supplies will go down by some 70%. That is a part of the supply chain philosophy, theory, but it happens in the practice. We can show how this happened over many, many years. Now, you can take this off, please, because I don't have too much time. Thank you. But having said that, when we talk about the ripple effect, we have a ripple effect and we have a reverse ripple effect. Reverse means if let's say, the retailers will do 10% more and they are optimistic and they establish that they need also increase their inventory and their buying, then everything goes up and you have huge demand from polished from the cutting centers and even more demand for the rough. What Pranay and I have done, because of time element, we have put a little bit about the ripple effect, how it works, given examples. Everybody can make the calculation, can check the examples, and we have asked the German Jewelry Export Promotion Council to post that article on their website. So please accept that this is reality and read it for yourself and decide by yourself. I will start talking about the last few points, and then I will give the microphone back to Sanjay.
Okay.
The financial health is extremely important. Your top priority post-corona should be selling from inventory. Don't buy raw when not absolutely needed, and then you're not sure you make money on it. Cell phone stocks that will lead to reduced indebtedness. This will enhance banking confidence, but also you should start using your leverage to see why should producers be the only level in the pipeline that will not give you a cent of credit. Actually, they want money in the bank even before the goods move from Botswana or move from London or wherever. I think the time has come that producers should share in the financing burden. Then they also become better judges of selecting their clients. Because now if you have money, they will sell. But I rather want them to sell to good companies or financially strong companies, so financially strong that they are willing to give them credit. I will not say too much about stocks now because of the running out of time. Let me give you my conclusions. And I also give you something that Pranay and I have thought about a long time.
So, sorry.
I'm giving the points. Yes, Sanjay, I finish it up.
Okay. So
my conclusions are, you have to change the mindset. You must go for profit, not for volume. You have to change the industry from being a useful, not for profit, or useless, useful because you provide work, from a useful non-for-profit association to make it commercially sound. According to the real effect in our calculation, you have enough ROF in India to last until the end of the year. This has nothing to do with the moratorium. You just don't need more ROF by our calculations. I'm saying this on my behalf. The panel may disagree, and I respect that. We do the arithmetic. You had, in the first few months of the year, when the feeling was good, there was some huge purchases of ROF, and there are some companies that bought a lot. So the first few months, you got certainly well over 2.5 billion in the pipeline, not just in India, but in the pipeline. With the stocks you have, you can very comfortably finish the year, we believe. Because we think
can I just interrupt, because there are a couple of questions during the course of question answers. I may be asking you, maybe you can
Sanjay, I have 3 lines more, and then I say
please
finish.
Tell me.
Okay?
Please.
We believe, and that is on the slide you see now, that that's a worst case scenario, but rather realistic. No, it's a little bit exaggerated, okay? But in a situation that we show here, then really also the bears would not need to sell anything anyway. But when I take it off, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Stop overproducing and competing each other into bankruptcy. Have to find some kind of unity, some kind of standards, as long as it's all allowed by law, etc. And yeah, credit must change. And now my last remark. I always look for new things which are good and whatever. I think that you should think about new marketing ideas. I believe that the half of the world is now in lockdown. People in lockdown are not spending all their time on the Zoom, on the internet, or looking at pictures or doing reading. They spend their time more productive, I think, a lot of them. And I expect in 9 months we'll see a fantastic Corona baby boom. I think we should think about new ideas. If she produces, if she gave you this beautiful baby, doesn't she deserve diamonds? I mean, let's think. Let's make more markets. Let's be innovative. I can go on for hours, but I want to thank you for allowing me to make such a presentation. I hope
I need to translate some of the important points in Gujarati. That's why I was just trying to make sure that, I need 2-3 minutes to the Gujarati audience from Surat and other parts of India. That's why I was, a little bit trying to interrupt. So let me just finish this, and maybe then we can ask the panelists to introduce. In the middle, I will ask, there are a couple of questions still left, but before I explain in Gujarati, can you just in one line tell me what is this 5 billion value that you were talking about? Is this the profit or the value addition?
That is the total added value. Profits you don't have, my friend.
Okay.
If I talk about the $5 billion,
got
it is all the work, it's all the marketing cost, it is all the salaries, it is the booths, it is your shows, it is everything. And it should include profit, and a value added should include profit. With the mines, it does, and with the retailers, it does. For you, at the moment, it isn't there.
Okay, so મિત્રો ગુજરાતીમાં ટ્રાન્સલેટ એટલા માટે કરું છું કે મોસ્ટલી આપણે બધા ગુજરાતી મેન્યુફેક્ચરિંગના અંદર ને બધા છીએ એટલે હિન્દી પણ કરી શકું એનો વાંધો નથી, પણ મને લાગે છે કે ગુજરાતીમાં કરું છું. જે શરૂઆતમાં જે ગ્રાફ બતાવવામાં આવ્યો ને એ બધાને આપણે સેપરેટલી ઈમેલ પણ કરવાના છીએ. પણ ગ્રાફના અંદર પહેલો જે ગ્રાફ હતો એ ડાયમંડ પાઇપલાઇનનો હતો કે 15 બિલિયનની રફ અને આપણે 20 બિલિયનનું પોલિશ ઘસીએ છીએ અને રિટેલ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી લગભગ 80 બિલિયનની છે. બેઝિકલી એમનો મેઇન પોઈન્ટ જે કહેવાનો હતો કે આજે આપણે ઇન્ડિયા એઝ અ સેન્ટર જે આપણે 90% હીરો ઘસીએ છીએ એ આપણી પાસે અત્યારે પાવર છે કે આપણે કેવી રીતે ધંધાને કેવી રીતે ક્યાં લઈ જવો અને કટિંગ અને પોલિશિંગ આપણા પાસે છે. એના માટે આપણી પાસે પાવર આપણી પાસે રહેવો જોઈએ. બીજા આપણને ડિક્ટેટ કરતા આપણે બીજાને આપણે કઈ પાવર આપણે યુઝ કરીને કરી શકીએ. અને એમ મેઇન એમનું મુખ્ય શું કહેવાનું છે કે એકબીજાને હરીફાઈ એ રીતે નહીં કરો કે જે તમારે રફમાં ભાવ વધારે ચૂકવવા પડે અને પોલિશ વેચવા માટે ફરવું પડે. આ એમનો મેઇન આખી જે છેલ્લી 45 મિનિટ આપણે સાંભળી એનો અર્થ છે. એમના બેન એન્ડ કંપનીના કહેવા પ્રમાણે લગભગ મેન્યુફેક્ચરિંગ -3% ચાલે છે. હવે આપણે શું છે, આ કોઈ કંપનીની એનાલિસિસ છે જે આપણને કાયમી કીધી એ ખાલી એમનો મેસેજ હું તમને આપું છું. 3 જે સેક્ટર છે, માઇનિંગ, મિડસ્ટ્રીમ અને રિટેલર, એમાં આપણે અત્યારે જે કોરોનાનું જે અત્યારે જે આપણે જે ચાલી રહ્યું છે એનો આપણે એકચ્યુઅલી આપણી ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી માટે ટર્નિંગ પોઈન્ટ તરીકે યુઝ કરવો જોઈએ એવું એમનું કહેવું છે. બાય મેકિંગ ધ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી હેલ્ધીયર સારી રીતે ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીની હેલ્થ સારી રહે, બધા ભેગા થઈએ અને જે પણ નિર્ણયો લેવાના લઈએ એ બધા સાથે મળીને એઝ એન ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી લઈએ તો આપણે પ્રોફિટેબલ ભવિષ્યમાં થઈ શકશું. ઇન્ડિયામાં એ આપણને બિલીવ કરે છે. બેઝિકલી એમનો ઇસ્યુ શું છે કે 22 રફ ખાણમાંથી હીરો નીકળે અને જ્વેલર પાસે જ્યારે વેચાય એમાં 22 થી 26 મહિનાનો ટાઈમ લાગે છે. અને એ ટાઈમે મેજોરિટી હીરો ઇન્ડિયનોના કટિંગ પોલિશમાં કે જ્વેલરીના ફોર્મમાં કે ઇન્ડિયનોના પાસે રહે છે. એટલે સૌથી વધારે રિસ્ક 2-3% કમાવાના ન કમાવાના અને જ્યારે નુકસાન કરવાનું આવે ત્યારે 15-20%, 5%, 10%નું આવે. એટલે આપણે અત્યારે હાઈ રિસ્ક એરિયામાં છીએ જે સ્ટોપ થવું જોઈએ. અત્યારે જે એરપ્લેન ચાલતું નથી, એટલે એમણે એક્ઝામ્પલ એક જ ખાલી માઇનનો આપ્યો કેનેડાનો કે અત્યારે એરપ્લેન ચાલતું નથી, કોઈ બાયરો નથી. એ મેઇન રીઝન છે. માઇન સારી છે, માણસો સારા છે, એ લોકોનું કોઈ ઇન્ટેન્શન ખરાબ નથી, પણ માલ વેચે કોને? એટલે આ એક એમનો મુખ્ય હતો. એ લોકો પોતાની એન્ટોપ ઓફિસમાં પણ માલ મોકલી શકતા નથી. અને બીજો એક બહુ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ પોઈન્ટ એમણે કીધો જે આપણને એમણે બુલવિપ ઇફેક્ટ સમજાવી, જે આપણે એની પછી ફરીથી ચર્ચા કરશું કારણ કે એ સમજાવવામાં આપણે બીજા પેનલિસ્ટોનો ચાન્સ નહીં મળે. બુલવિપ ઇફેક્ટમાં એમ કહેવા માંગે છે કે જો 15-20% પણ ડિમાન્ડ ઓછી રહે ને તો એની અસર મેન્યુફેક્ચરિંગ ઉપર ઘણી વધારે ઓછી ડિમાન્ડ એની આપણને આવશે. એના કારણે એ અત્યારે શું કહે છે કે વર્કર્સ બધા એમ કહે છે કે જતા રહ્યા પોતાના ગામે અને બહારના માઇગ્રન્ટ વર્કર્સ છે એ બહાર જતા રહ્યા. પણ એમનો મેઇન પોઈન્ટ શું છે કે શું આપણે એમને પાછા બોલાવવા છે? કોઈ વખત એવું બને કે આપણે કોઈ બોલાવવાની જરૂર ન પડે, એટલો ઓછો માલ બનાવવો પડે. આ એમનો વ્યૂ છે જે હું તમારી સાથે શેર કરું છું. અને એમ કહે છે કે અત્યારે જે સમજો આ વર્ષે જે પણ ઘટાડો રિટેલમાં આવશે જ્વેલરીમાં, દાગીનામાં, સરવાળે છેલ્લે રિટેલર નક્કી કરશે કે કેટલી ડિમાન્ડ ઓછી થઈ ના થઈ વગેરે વગેરે. પણ હવે ન્યૂ નોર્મલ બનશે અને કોઈ પણ બધું અનસર્ટેનિટી ઘણી છે. પોસ્ટ કોરોના શું થવાનું છે ખબર નથી. અને પોલિશ પ્રાઇસીસ અંદર તમે કે કોઈ પણ ધંધો કરવો પણ છેલ્લે જ્વેલર તમારા પાસે શું લે છે એ પોલિશની પ્રાઇસ એ ડિસાઈડ કરે છે. 5 પોઈન્ટ જે છેલ્લા કીધા એમાં મેં જેટલા લખ્યા છે કદાચ એકાદ રહી પણ ગયું હશે. ફાઇનાન્શિયલ હેલ્થ આપણા સેક્ટરની બહુ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે. ડોન્ટ બાય, એટલે કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ એવી તમે વેપાર ન કરો કે ખરીદો નહીં કે જે તમને જોઈતી ન હોય. જે વસ્તુની ડિમાન્ડ હોય એ જ માલ બનાવો. એમ એક બહુ મુખ્ય મુદ્દો એમનો કદાચ એ હતો કે કોઈ વખત એવું બનશે કે એમની મેથેમેટિક્સ ગણિત એ પ્રમાણે એમ કહે છે કે આપણે રફ જ નહીં જોઈએ. અને ઘણી બધી રફ ઓલરેડી ઇન્ડિયામાં છે. અને નવા માર્કેટિંગ આઈડિયાઝ આપણે બેસીને નવા માર્કેટિંગ કેવી રીતે કરવું એના માટે વિચાર અને પ્રયત્નો કરવા જોઈએ. આગળના સેશનમાં અડધા-પોણા કલાકના જે સેશનમાં આપણે કાયમને 1-2 સવાલ જે મારે પૂછવાના છે એ આપણે પૂછશું. પણ હમણાં આપણે પેનલિસ્ટ તરફ જઈએ. એમની જે બે મિનિટમાં જે બોલવાની વાત છે. દિનેશભાઈ પ્લીઝ તમે ચાલુ કરો.
Yeah, thank you Sanjay bhai. Thank you Kian. First of all, I would to like to thanks everyone in the industry coming together for the whole effort that we have to put And many thanks to Cam for the all positive and protective thoughts. So straight to the discussion, we are all aware of the situation we are facing. We know how bad this crisis will be. So this is the time to take positive action. We have to bring change in everything that we do. We know now we immediate medicine or vaccine for COVID will be come, but we have to accept our ecosystem has changed forever. Pre-COVID and post-COVID would be completely different. So we have to change our old traditional way. Everything has to change from manufacturing to marketing. Our message to consumer, everything has adapted. We need to bring new ideas, even if they are crazy. We need to experiment, and the change start from us. And this is the very important because this crisis will be remain crisis if we let it be doing nothing about it. But if we take the right step with the right approach, then it is an opportunity to make our industry very healthy and bigger than before. It is our responsibility toward the nation, to our community, to our industry, to the 50 lakhs employed. So we need to be positive and start taking action in the right direction. So now, how do we do it? There are two very important and necessary things. We take action to hold the price stable. And second, we plan and execute the strategy to create the new demand, create a need for diamond in consumer mind. All of us have the same thought, and now it is time we turn into action. First, to keep the price stable, industry has come together and taken the right and positive action on the rough intake. This is shows that we can work together with the positive mindset and coordination. And now we have to retail that the just first step. Now we work to create the new demand, make people want diamond. Let me be very clear. This is very opportunity that we will get, and now we will have to make our move. It's simply now or never, because new competitor industry, travel, vacation, electronic gadget, they had taken a consumer wallet share. Younger generation was not having the same desire for diamond. But now all the can change in the crisis. Vacation plus travel is not posing any competition. People are tired of spending of same kind of gadgets. And the most important thing is the crisis when everything is so volatile. Diamond is everlasting personal possession. It really stands out. Oppenheimer created a new need for diamonds right after the Great Depression. At the time when the demand had become zero, he came up with the concept of the engagement ring, and we are still enjoying that demand that he created. We together have to do what Oppenheimer did then. It's a massive opportunity to give the wallet share of the consumer, and for that we have to take consumers mindset. That is the most important job and needs to be right now. We have to make interactive to new generation, create a new narrative, and for the happen, all of us have to come together and be open to new ideas. We build upon the legginess of the great product. At the time we something create to make it appealing to young generation. If it need to be a little bit crazy, then we become a bit crazy. We use a joint platform wherever in the involved in the everyone is the contributing. We get the best creative thinking from the outside. Experiment with the different ideas and don't have fear of failure. Our product has special appeal for the qualities more than even gold. There is the value as well, desire for the customer, a legacy built over a century. It just not any other company. So we have to make choice. Do we make use of all this and make diamond shine more by doing whatever is take? Do we go in the right direction and make it even bigger than bigger and better, or do we lose this opportunity and they remain just a commodity, face the future of the low demand and go the crude oil way? It's for sure that if we lose the opportunity, our industry will not remain even 50% of it is. That is the why we have to decide and act now. So this is my view, Sanjay Bhai. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hitesh Bhai, please. જો પોસિબલ હોય તો થોડું શોર્ટમાં કરજો, કારણ કે સવાલો ઘણા છે ને ટાઈમ ઓલરેડી 1 કલાક થઈ ગયો છે ને આપણે પ્લીઝ.
Chaim, key speaker Chaim, Russell Bhai Mehta, Rosie Blue, Shri Dinesh Bhai Lakhani Kiran Gems, Shri Vipul Bhai Shah, Asian Star, સંજય ભાઈ જેઓ આપણા મોડરેટર છે. હું ગુજરાતીમાં જ બોલીશ કારણ કે ઘણા બધાની ડિમાન્ડ પણ છે.
ઓકે,
તો આજે 185 જેટલા દેશ આ કોરોના COVID-19 વાયરસમાંથી પસાર થઈ રહ્યા છે. તો એમાંથી આપણને મને એવું પર્સનલી એવું લાગે છે કે જે આ જે પોઝિશન આવી છે એની પાછળ આપણને ઘણું બધું જાણવા પણ મળે છે અને આની પાછળ પછીના સમયમાં ઘણો સુધારો પણ થવાનો છે ધંધામાં કે પછી અન્ય કોઈ રીતે. જેમ કે આપણે અત્યારે ક્વોલિટી ટાઈમ આપણા ફેમિલીને આપી શકીએ છીએ. આપણે ખૂબ સારો ટાઈમ બુક રીડિંગ કે પછી કોઈ પ્લેઇંગ કોઈ રમત, તો આ બધું પોસિબલ નહોતું. આ COVID-19 ને નેગેટિવ જોતા પણ આ પોઝિટિવ સાઈડ પણ જોવાની જરૂર છે. બીજું કે આપણે આ વેધર જુઓ તો વેધર પણ ખૂબ અત્યારે સુંદર છે. વેધર સારામાં સારું વેધર છે જેનો આપણે ખૂબ લાભ લઈ શકીએ છીએ. ત્રીજું સૌથી ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ પોઈન્ટ કે આપણી જે ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝ છે એમાં સંજયભાઈએ કીધું, ખાઈમે કીધું કે જે 80% થી વધારે પ્રોડક્શન આપણે ભારતમાં થાય છે. તો બાકીના પણ દેશોમાં થાય છે, પણ આપણે જો આનું તકેદારી રાખીએ અને મીટિંગ આપણે અવારનવાર આ વેબિનાર કે ઇલેક્ટ્રોનિક્સ મીડિયા માધ્યમથી ઘણા બધા આપણે પ્રશ્નો સોલ્વ થયા, જેમ કે ઇમ્પોર્ટ હોય કે પછી આપણે પ્રાઇસ લિસ્ટ નો ઇશ્યુ હોય કે કોઈ પણ ઇશ્યુ, તો આ આપણે અત્યારે જે ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝ એક સૂર સાથે આગળ વધે છે. તો મારે બધાને એક અપીલ છે અને અરજ પણ છે કે ભાઈ જે પણ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝમાં GJEPC કે બધા અન્ય કોઈ બોડી દ્વારા કોઈ પણ નિર્ણય લેવામાં આવે તો એમાં ચિંતન વિચાર કરીને એ વિચારને જેમ બને એમ તમે ફાસ્ટ રીતે વિચાર કરીને ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝને કેમ ફાયદો થાય, નહીં કે ઇન્ડિવિજ્યુઅલ કોઈ કંપની કે કોઈ સંસ્થાને પણ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝને કઈ રીતે ફાયદો થાય તો આપણી ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝ વધુમાં વધુ સારી રીતે આપણે બચી શકશું અને ચાલી શકશું. અને છેલ્લે બસ એટલું જ કહું છું કે પોઝિટિવ સાઇન કે બી પોઝિટિવ, સ્ટે હોમ, સ્ટે સેફ. થેન્ક યુ.
Yeah, Vipul Bhai.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. Chaim, your words were enlightening and gives us all food for thought. I would like to start by praying for good health and safety to all. We all are living in testing times. As we all are aware, this global pandemic, the coronavirus, has set about mass-scale disturbance across the world, societies and economies. Disruptions in major global supply chains have created greater problems for global trade and commerce. And above all, the loss of human life has been huge. The situation has forced governments of all over the world to take several preventive measures such as lockdown, self-quarantine, and maintain strict social distancing to restrict the spread of virus. I would take this opportunity to thank and recognize the timely decisions and efforts taken by the Indian government to contain the spread of the virus. All said and done, I firmly believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And just like every crisis eventually comes to an end, I am confident that this will too. Our diamond industry, just like other industries, is undergoing several disruptions at the moment, but I am confident that we will brave this together and take the necessary steps to recovery. Today, I wish to like to touch upon a couple of important things. Firstly, it would be fair to say that this crisis is not like any other that we have faced in the past. It is a health crisis it is very difficult to predict by when the industry will be back to normal operation. Considering the fact that most of the diamond centers are on lockdown mode and several restrictions on air travel, transportation of goods, and uncertainty of resuming of work at the factory level and office. However, it is absolutely vital for us to safeguard our industry in this critical time. It is up to us, stakeholders, to collectively act responsible to protect the long-term future of our industry. It's my appeal to all mining companies and midstream players to exercise self-discipline with respect to sale and purchase of raw material and make decisions strictly based on polish and retail demand. This will help us to maintain the values of our inventories. Also, I have always believed in being prudent when it comes to liquidity. Liquidity will create new opportunities, and it is also important and the responsibility of the trade to reassure our banking partners of our financial strength by practicing prudent business principles. I would like to conclude by saying that there will be enough opportunities to come, and I'm a firm believer in long-term prospects of our diamond trade. Over to you, Sanjay.
Bhai, a few words from you.
So, good evening, everybody, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. All I wanted to say that I think everybody spoken enough, and all the words of wisdom are with all of us now that the whole panelist and Kham has said whatever he needs to say. I just want to add that we are all pursuing our business in a certain manner, and this 30 days of lockdown, and perhaps it may get extended a little bit more also, gives us enough time and opportunity to introspect our business and to sort of model it in a manner what is best for our business. We have been doing business in a certain manner, and if we continue to do business in the same manner, we will continue to get the same results. So therefore, all of us should introspect in this downtime. The world is extremely VUCA, as they said, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And therefore, it is important that we position our business for what is important to us, what we want to get from our business. Thank you.
Okay, so my first question goes to Vipul Bhai. Can you let the audience know, 2008, we had a financial crisis, and we have this crisis now, which is finance and health. So how do you compare, and what did we learn from 2008 crisis? Can you, in brief, explain the viewers, give us a comparison, and how did the industry come out, and what steps the industry did, etc.
2008-9, if we have to understand, it was a financial crisis. At that time, we saw huge price correction. But at the same time, we also saw demand into certain pockets. The crisis was restricted to US, but as far as Far East and everywhere, the demand was still there. But the best part was all the trade bodies at that time came collectively together. The important thing at that time we took was to shut down our imports. We wanted to make sure that our asset values was secure. The liquidity was also very important.
How long was the shutdown? Sorry, how long was the shutdown?
The shutdown was for 1 month, which we took at that time in the crisis. And that really...
Crisis, how do you compare the current crisis? Is it the same, or it is better, worse?
Coming to that, comparatively to that crisis, today it's a health crisis. When we are saying health crisis, it's an economic crisis, which can lead into financial crisis. As we can see, all the governments have made sure that this economic crisis does not lead to financial crisis. They have put a lot of stimulus and everything to make sure once we are back after the lockdowns, there won't be any financial problems. But nobody knows how far and what is the depth of this crisis. So we need all the stakeholders need to be acting more mature, everybody has to be responsible to storm this crisis.
Okay, so my next question goes to Chaim. I just, out of your explanation, I just wanted to have an idea in numbers and figures. What is you explained the outlook of mining companies. Either some of them have suspended operations, or some of them are going out of business, etc., etc. And the larger producers of mines have reduced their outlook for, by 20-25%. with the total stock position in rough already imported, what will be the balance rough the market will need in 2020? Can you throw us some light on that?
Sanjay,
Yes.
at the end of the day, the producers want to sell their output. De Beers has already announced it was reducing output this year by some 20%. I think that's a plus. I don't think that is really sufficient, but they can stock. I mean, they have political considerations. They just can't do in Botswana everything they like. They have governments to contend to, and I respect that and I understand that. I see in Alrosa has said exactly what they will produce, but they've also said on record officially that they will certainly take into account the corona situation in their marketing. So I think they understand the situation. The question is not the beers or the producers can sell anything you need, and that's no point. We think that if we talk about polished of 20 billion in 2008, I think last year was a lousy year, and it may have gone down to some 1918 or whatever. I think that you probably won't need more globally than 12. Now, I mentioned to you, the added value has been 5 billion all the time. So if the polished would be 12, then the requirements of the entire pipeline would be in the area of 7 or 8. And we believe that that is the really amount that is needed. But I'm sure they will sell more. Yeah, Sanjay, I think they will sell more, and there will always be some people that will buy at a 50% discount from the beers, or a 30% discount, or 20%. It doesn't matter. I don't manage, and you don't manage the business of some people. But my request is, even if you buy cheaper at a discount, don't pass on the discount to the Polish market.
Okay, got
it. Yourself cheap. Okay?
Okay, right. So, Russell, by numbers, so what we have come to know in past few days, that the production from the mining side will be down by 30%, whether it is in volume or carats, but looking into, let's say, $2.5 billion of rough that we have already imported. And if you go by the numbers of, let's say, reduction in 30%, it reaches to about $8 billion. So do you think that the only $5-6 billion rough is available on the market for the rest of the year?
I think
that's a question to Russell.
Always be, there will always be exceptions. Those companies that have a requirement and they need, we talk here about the averages and the total picture. Okay. I don't think that India needs more polished, needs more rough this year. I don't think so.
Yeah, my question was directed to Russell Bhai.
So, Sanjay, we all know that some amount of retail demand destruction or denting will happen over a period of time. So if you see 2008-9, there was a 10% reduction of retail demand, and jury's out there how much will be the reduction of demand this year. But it will be a little bit more because that we have lost almost 1 quarter of retail sales, and a lot of things are disrupted. So if we lose about 15% of demand, then obviously Pranay and Khayyam has shown that slide, and therefore the production of rough may be enough in order to meet the current demand this year. It all depends really whether we have a recovery, which is, some people are talking about V-shaped or W-shaped or L-shaped. I really don't know. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you exactly that whether this is sufficient or not. All I can say that if it is more, then obviously the polish prices will go up as and when we go towards the season. If it is more than what we require, actually, then the mining companies will have to stock it up for the next year.
Yeah, but you think that the demand from the retail level will be down only 15%? Because, you know, the second quarter is almost of no sale, which I feel that 15% goes.
Look, I mean, Sanjay, nobody has a crystal ball. It's just
Right.
all assumptions and, you know, what you feel. It's a hunch. How would I know that, you know, if the market, I mean, retail stores will start and suddenly all the people will come in to buy jewelry because they are not able to travel, you know. So really, we don't know right now.
Right. It is only guess that we can do.
Yeah, this is pure guesswork, you know.
Okay. Dinesh Bhai, being the largest manufacturer, what is your view on that? How much demand at the retail level will go down? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
You're addressing to whom?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my personal view. This maybe 30-35% is goes down at retail level. But finally, the retail level, if I have affected 30-35%, so we are the loose diamond manufacturer, we are affected so much. If you
No, I cannot hear you properly. Can you say a little louder?
yeah,
If the demand goes down by 30% in retail,
yeah.
how much manufacturing will be required? Let's say, you know, the way Chaim explained, do you agree with him that the wholesale business will be down by 50%?
I am 100% agree with the Khayyam, and my same length we are go with the continue way. I am 100% agree with the Khayyam. If we do nothing, anything for the future marketing and everything, we don't change our new plan.
We can talk about this year, you know, because marketing, the result of the marketing will happen only next year. But this year, if the demand is by half, it goes down. I mean, what are the steps taken by the large, factories which are set up, Surat and other parts of Gujarat? Because there will be, you will have to talk about the workforce and not buy rough because the demand is not there.
Then is the yes, right. Then market is maybe we want to reduce the manufacturing by minimum 50% then. Minimum.
And what is your view, Hitesh Bhai?
I think Sanjay Bhai, that is correct because all the situation is depend on individual, like how long the lockdown is running now from, and what is individual capacity and what is the financing level of individual factories. They have to decide, think wisely and positively. So they can definitely, everybody can take the decision from all the situation.
So do you agree with the larger factories should buy only if there is demand? If there is no demand, manage the factories and workers in an alternative way. Do you agree, or just because rough is not there in the factory?
I think production will take place only 25%, not more than that. I think in next 3 months, because social distancing and everything is there. So there we have to follow many rules. So that's why I think the situation of the factories are very critical. If there is a single case of COVID, then it is very difficult to run the factory or even.
Okay, got it. Vipul Bhai, just a couple of lines on what we are talking about. If the retail demand goes substantially down, then what should be our strategy going forward? That because may not be so much rough required.
That's very important question, Sanjay. Demand is the single most vital component for us to restart our engines. I believe the industry collectively needs to focus on spending on marketing. Each stakeholder must play their part in pushing the demand for diamonds. Capturing the emotions by creative marketing messages will help in restoring confidence of our product with consumers. Retailers will play a key role in driving customer demand. They will need to take the necessary measures to make customers feel comfortable and safe for physical purchases of their stores. Coming to the second part of your question, clearing of diamond pipeline will only take place when we see actual demand. For the midstream, maintaining self-discipline is very crucial, and reducing current polish inventory levels is the first priority. This will help in stabilizing prices.
So you think that if the industry decides to extend ceasing of import more than a month, would you agree with that?
I'm for very much with Khaim, what Khaim has said, that if the way the goods right now is lying in the pipeline, we need to see that how the demand opens up, and based on the demand, we should take the call.
So, Dinesh Bhai, what will be the impact on pricing if we stop continuing the way we have decided to stop on 30 days, or if we continue to buy rough and not stop anything? Can you just give us throw some light on what would be the effect on the pricing?
It is a very positive step for the industry and diamond pricing. If we are reduced supply by reducing the short-term import, it's a basic supply and demand management. We do not want to go the crude oil way, where too much supply, even an essential commodity, cannot be absorbed. Right now, we know that the immediate short-term demand for diamond at retail counter is not there, so we have to simply reduce the supply coming out of our factories. It's as simple as that.
But will you be able to manage that by
Yes.
not? I mean, because you're
yes.
employer of workers, and the workers which has gone out, we would not return. I think you will have to think about a lot more than just not buying, not importing any more rough. Do you have rough stock in place right now?
Boss, maybe is my thinking in industry have maybe 1 month to 2 month average stock in the pipeline. So after the lockdown is open, government not give it to us the full freedom. We want to mention we want to follow the as per the new after COVID rules and regulation. If you want to do 100% manufacturing, is not possible nowadays. We want to forget the old days. We want to go with the new norms. We want to follow the norms. And this COVID is not only for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Whenever we not got it, this right medicine, then this is the go with the continuous way. So now is the whatever before we get it the freedom, we want to forget it this situation. What about the pricing? It will be give the loss of confidence to banks. It is make the rough and polish inventory price stable, which they have finance.
No, we'll come to that. Just give me a brief idea about if we had continued to import rough, and now that we have stopped it for a month, does it have a positive effect on the diamond pricing? This is the most important question which I wanted to ask you.
No, that's why I agree. It is a very positive step for the industry.
So, how the diamond pricing would be affected by stopping? It will stop going down, or what is it?
No, if we are going to continue the import is stopped, then we stable our lose the price. If you go with after the 1 month is open, as per the Kayam statement, everything, knows everything, the big pipeline and demand is not coming from retail side, is affected too much. If we are go with the continuing import, maybe it's my thinking, the price will go more and more.
So, Russell Bhai, please enlighten us with, which rough and polished diamond categories will be impacted the most, basically quality-wise, region-wise. Can you just give us an idea about, what I'm trying to ask is certified and non-certified, smalls and larger, just two broad categories. How do you see in the 3 to 6 months time?
So my thought process is that, once we get to the office and post the lockdown, I think there will be some need to raise some liquidity because, there have been expenses in terms of salary payments, wages, interest payments on all the current working capital loans we have taken. So I think some amount of liquidation of inventory may happen at certain prices in order to raise some liquidity to pay the bills we have to pay. So in the immediate sort of a short-term future, you may see some deals or whatever. I mean, not everybody, but some of us may have some compulsions. That's one. The other thing is that, let's say after a month or so, if I have to look a little bit further, I'm quite between the various businesses, whether it is small, the lower qualities, and the certified and the larger diamonds, I feel that there is a dislocation in terms of polishing of diamonds, because everybody has said there is a social distancing. The factories are not going to start in a very meaningful way. We cannot go back to the same productions what we used to have. While we have to understand that the factories outside of India, in beneficiation and whatever limited capacity, but they may continue to polish in Russia, Botswana, wherever it is, which are all polishing larger sizes. In my view, the smaller and the lower qualities will have a dislocation. And therefore, if I go by the history of what has happened in past, post the 2008-9 crisis, we had lost a lot of workers. People had fired a lot of the migrant workers who had actually gone back to their hometown. We had a great difficult times actually calling them back and restart the production. So if you see, the small diamonds actually increased in price, leaps and bounds in 2010 and 11. Of course, all diamonds will increase in price in a medium term future, because the production will not be the same. Perhaps we may require more in a year's time or something like that. I mean, I'm just thinking that the demands will come back after 18 months or so, or at least will get restored starting in 2021. Slowly and a steady way. Probably we will have a sensible Christmas. These are all sort of, what shall I say, suppositions, my hypothesis. And therefore, if that does happen, I think people will buy lower price points. People will look for smaller diamonds and lower quality of diamonds, America being the largest sort of market for us. And therefore, I see a little bit better future for small diamonds over certified and larger diamonds. And that's my view.
And Dinesh Bhai, what about which rough category will be impacted the most? Let's say if the price has to be corrected. Smaller diamonds, right? Or I don't know. I'm just wanted to hear from you.
Yeah, I go with my conclusion wise. If I go put it in my view, the small sizes are maybe more effective. Generally we compare with the small sizes and certified goods. So always small sizes stock in average the pipeline we have a little bit more. That's why the small sizes price goes down more and more. And I understand the certified those shares are 2 carat below. In the industry, not have the too much months very big stock. That's why it's not affected too much. But we want to think about the demand side. If demand is not coming, and we don't go with the new thing and new ways, then you affected each and every diamond. Huh?
Okay, so Hitesh Bhai, how do you see the impact on the small, medium, and large manufacturers and traders? Let's say we have decided as an industry to voluntarily not to import rough for 30 days. Small, medium, and large people, how they will be impacted. And together with that, just one more thing I want to add, that what is the situation of the labor force on the diamond factories, and what percentage of contract workforce will not come back in 3 months? So you can answer it together. They both are.
Yeah. As I told, that is what is the moratorium? It's depend on all the factories or all the companies have individuals. Depend on how they have an inventory, how they have a stock, and how there's a financial capacity. So, and one more thing is very important, that how it is going long, like the COVID-19 situation, how we get out from this situation. That is all depend on this. So I think, and worker side, I can say that honestly, first of getting clearance is very big question. Even if it's clear, then what capacity we may start, the production, I believe it's not possible to have more than 50%. I think very low capacity in this social
50%,
distance.
how much time?
Sorry?
50% in what, 1 month or 2-3 months, or how to reach the 50% capacity, how much time?
After whenever the government said
nobody knows the exact answer, but I'm just asking.
Yeah. But it's depend on what is when it is opening the factories are. So that is all depend, and it will slowly 50% will come. It's not directly come 50%. I think we make one survey also in our company that around 60% staff is able to join the factory soon, but we are not ready to get in 60% production, because the norms is if it is a single case in corona, then it is very difficult to run the factory. So I think 25% to 30% it will start initial stage.
Okay, so little bit about banks, Russell Bhai. I think I'm sure there must be some few bankers attending this webinar. What is your message to them? And bankers were also active in 2008. They know the situation now. Both were a crisis, but different type of crisis. Should they be worried, or they should be happy with the decision that we have taken? But can you just generally explain, taking some reference from 2008, how much was the lending and what it is now, and what we have done so far in last 12 years?
Thanks, Sanjay. So, I mean, one will keep the decision of rough diamond import on the side for the moment. Some of the points and thoughts I can present to the bankers is that this pandemic is not an industry specific. You know, every single industry in this country or across the world, in every country, has been affected. So that all businesses have been affected in all the countries to various degrees. So therefore, I think rather than being industry specific, and I get asked by bankers about our industry in particular, I offer to them that, forget how the industry, every industry, since it is getting affected, think about all your customers and, look at all your customers and sort of work with them to see, how they come out of this, because there could be issues of a temporary liquidity. But I think solvency is not a problem in my view. In that sense, because I believe that a lot of the overseas customers are perhaps not paying right now for whatever reasons they have. But if you see globally, every country has announced some sort of a packages, incentives, liquidities have been pushed into the system. India is still yet to announce, but across the world, wherever we are operating, I think every single country has taken steps to soften this blow. And in that respect, I think the businesses outside of India are currently, I think, while they may be a little bit stretched in few months, I think things will stabilize far more. We will see all the payments coming in, from our customers. And therefore, if we tide these 2-3 months, give them some time to put their house in order, start paying the monies, because most of the stores and the retail stores are closed. I think we should be okay. From my perspective, solvency is not really an issue of this industry. If you've seen the industry from 2008-9, we have actually in those days, our assumption is that, or our calculation is about $16-17 billion of banking finance was to this industry, which I think in the last year end, 2019 year end, I guess is about 12 billion. And I think as we go across this year and probably in the first quarter of next year, we may actually come down to $9.5 and $10 billion of total indebtedness of this industry. So the industry has paid back a lot of the money since 2008-9, and I think we'll continue to pay back a little bit, because as the turnover comes down, as the need to have money will come down, I think the industry will start paying it. So if we look after this industry in short term, I think post 3 to 6 months, the bank should have reasonable payback from the industry. I mean, those are my views. I think it's most important to focus on the customers, understand the customers, because every single industry, I mean, the bank should not be worried of diamond and jewelry industry more or less than what they are worrying about their other industry or other customers. I think we are more or less on the same path.
Right. So my one question to Chaim, just as your approximation, that what do you think at the retail level at the end of the year, the reduction of demand will be? Because, it's everybody's guess. It is impossible, like Russell Bhai and everybody else said, that it is impossible. Nobody has a crystal ball. But as your assumption or approximation, how much at the retail level at the end of the year they will sell less?
I think, Sanjay, that Russell gave the right reply when he said we are still in an ongoing situation. Our calculations were based on basically by June, business getting more or less open and up, and that 3 months then would run from June further down. But we don't know that, and I don't know that. There are crazy things happening in America. There are crazy things happening in other places. We simply don't know. But I think that what I have expressed is that at least for this year with certainty, and I look at the rough side, you don't need rough. And at polished, I think there will be a shock, and taking the whole year as a whole, yes, I think that the retail sector may go down indeed between 20 and 30%, but that is just for this year. We have to wait a time to see what is going to be the new normal for the retailer. And the new normal for a retailer is that he's confident and that he's willing to make a stock which is equal to about a year of his sales on average. And that I consider the normal level. And then we get much more stability, and that normal level we have to try to get at higher prices. And Sanjay, I think you guys can do it. You guys can do it.
Yeah, so your message is very simple. Not to overproduce, produce only to make profit, not to compete and undercut each other, and buy only what is needed. That's the in the larger message. This is what I understand. Most of the questions which we have got from the audience, we have covered most of them. My last question about the marketing part goes to Vipul Bhai. In order to lift demand again, what should be the industry doing? Can we build a digital platform or something like that? Or are there any alternatives for clearing the pipeline besides the import, so-called moratorium? Just the industry decided to voluntarily stop for a month.
Yeah, see what we did, what steps which we collectively took as all the trade bodies, which by keeping a moratorium on the imports, that was very important, which needed to be done. At the same time, going ahead, we need to focus mainly on the demand side. We need to make sure all our marketing efforts and everything is focused on the demand. We need to follow exactly how the partial reopenings of different economies open up, and based on that, we need to set up all marketing strategies. In today's world, e-commerce will also play a very important role. We need to focus on to that kind of platform. Trade bodies should also try to make sure that if we can work collectively to get different platforms in competitive to RepNet or Repoport, some different this of us as a sales, so that can also help the total industry to clear the pipeline.
Okay, so we are in next 5 minutes. We're about to conclude the session. What's your final message, Dinesh Bhai, to all of us? What is a couple of things that you need to? Please be very short. Just I don't want to. We are already at 1 hour 35 minutes, and I don't want to take it long. And
okay, Sanjay, thanks.
I have to speak last.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Sanjay. I don't take it so much time.
No, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling everybody. Yes.
Yeah. Only way to emerge out of the crisis is to take new action, and for that we have to be united. United we stand, divide we fall. This is my final message for industry and we want to follow everyone, then we are winner. This COVID, after the COVID is my wish is that market is coming back if we are in United. Thank you.
I hope a lot of big manufacturers like you join you with the decision and the comment that you have made. Vipul Bhai?
My message to the industry is, again, it will be self-discipline, focus on your liquidity and improve your cash flows, bring down the debt levels of the industry, and that is the way our industry can have much better margins.
Hitesh Bhai?
આઈ થિંક આપણે બધાએ સાથે મળીને આ ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝને એક અલગ લેવલ પર જોવી હોય તો આપણે અત્યારથી જ બધા જે સ્ટેપ છે એ બરોબર લીધા છે અને હજી નવા સ્ટેપ કોઈ પણ જે મુદ્દાઓ છે એ આપણે બધા લઈશું. એટલે આપણને 100% અને એમ્પ્લોય સાઇડ જે વાત છે, એમ્પ્લોય સાઇડ આપણે અને ગવર્મેન્ટ બધા સાથે મળીને કેવી રીતે એમ્પ્લોયનું કેવી રીતે સારું થાય એ પણ આપણે જોઈશું. અને બધી રીતે ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રીઝમાં આપણો ધંધો એટલે બિઝનેસ કેવી રીતે આના પોઝિશનમાં અથવા તો આનાથી બેટર લેવલ પર આપણે લઈ જઈ શકીએ એ પોઝિટિવ રીતે બધાએ પોતાની રીતે જોવું જોઈએ. થેન્ક યુ.
Russell Bhai, please. I mean, your message is,
I mean, I think he's spoken enough, and Sanjay, so there's
Okay.
wisdom which is only thing I can say that everybody should be extremely true to their pay the utmost care and attention to their capital, and safeguard it to the best possible extent, because it's very, very difficult to create capital in today's day and age. And the world is extremely volatile, so we all have to be really focused on preserving the capital we have built over a period of years.
Right, thank you. Kaim, you get to say the last word. What is your message to the Indian diamond industry? Final message.
Thanks. I can only admire you for having this webinar. I have been following a little bit of all the comments that are coming in, and I'm an information man. My conclusion is that you have to educate, give information, reach out to your communities. I think you should organize town halls. You should get feedback. You should start indeed become a role. You are export promotion council. I think you should take the marketing very seriously. Don't depend on producers and others. You market your goods. And I'm confident. I think you're fantastic people. And I think you can do it. And again, thank you for having me here. And I really enjoyed it.
Give me, just take 2 minutes to translate everyone's message in Gujarati. So, one of the panelists, Dinesh Bhai, said that even if it comes to, Dinesh Bhai એમ કીધું કે કદાચ કોઈ વખત પ્રોડક્શન ઓછું પણ કરવું પડે, કદાચ 40-50% ઓછું કરવું પડે તો આપણે એ તૈયારી રાખવી જોઈએ. આ ડિસિઝન આપણે જે 30 દિવસ આપણે ઇમ્પોર્ટ નથી કરવું એ બહુ સારું ડિસિઝન છે. હિતેશ ભાઈએ લગભગ એ જ બધી સિમિલર વાત કરી, વિપુલ ભાઈએ પણ વાત કરી, અને રસેલ ભાઈએ કીધું કે કેપિટલ તમારી પૂરેપૂરી સાચવીને રાખો. ખોટા ખર્ચા એટલે એક્સપેન્સીસ કઈ જગ્યાએ આપણા કટ થઈ શકે છે એ જુઓ. વિપુલભાઈનું પણ લગભગ એ જ કહેવાનું હતું. ખાઈમે જે આગળ કીધું, બધાની ફાઇનાન્શિયલ હેલ્થ બહુ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે, અને પ્રોફિટ કરીને જ તમે એવો માલ બનાવો કે જેમાં તમને નફો થાય. અને એમના હિસાબે આપણી પાસે ઘણી રફ છે, કારણ કે ડિમાન્ડ જ ઘણી ઓછી થવાની છે. એમનો અભિપ્રાય છે. નવા માર્કેટિંગ આઈડિયાઝની જે વિપુલભાઈએ વાત કરી, એટલે આપણે સમરી વાઇઝ એમ સમજીએ છીએ કે જો ડિસિપ્લિન, સેલ્ફ ડિસિપ્લિન, જે પણ આ રીતના આપણે જે થોડા શિસ્તના પગલાં લીધા છે એ આપણા બજાર માટે બહુ સારા પુરવાર થશે. ખાઈમનું એમ કેવું છે કે આજે લોકડાઉન ખુલે ત્યારે ત્યાં સુરતમાં કે જે મેન્યુફેક્ચરિંગ સેન્ટરોમાં જેને આ વસ્તુની ખબર નથી પડી, કદાચ ત્યાં સુધી સમાચાર પહોંચ્યા નથી, ત્યાં સેમિનાર કરવા જોઈએ અને એ લોકોનો અભિપ્રાય લેવો જોઈએ કે એમનો વિચાર શું છે. So, Kaim, just give me 2 minutes. I'll conclude this session. So, in conclusion, I would like to remind all our listeners that we produce over 80% of world's diamonds. This allows us to control our future and, more importantly, drive our destiny. Twice before, the Indian industry has stopped the import of rough diamonds to protect its interest. The first time was in 1996 when Argyle left De Beers, and the second time in 2008 during the global financial crisis. Both times we came out stronger. In hindsight, we can safely say that our decision proved to be totally correct. It is important we continue to do this and preserve polished prices for us and for our clients. Further, this will give us banks confidence and signal our willingness to reduce debt, be prudent, and keep profitability in the business. In recent weeks, we have seen a dangerous precedent been set by oil industry where overproduction broke the entire market. Let us work together and avoid this fate at any cost. A voluntary curtailment of rough imports for at least 30 days and ensure sustainability for all. We can review this timeline as the situation evolves. While disaster capture headlines and tension in the short run, the work of rebuilding and recovery is of course long-term. This is true for mankind and true for our diamond industry. I have no doubt that we will emerge stronger together. Thank you to the panelists, Dinesh Bhai, Hitesh Bhai, Vipul Bhai, Russell Bhai, and especially Khaim, entirely from the Indian diamond industry to share your valuable thoughts. Thank you viewers for joining us today in large numbers. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you very much. We end the session.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank
you, everyone.
Thank you, Khaim.
Thank you.
Good.